We are the wind in the sails of your business. We are your compass. Chart your course towards your targets. Africa Business Radio. Towards a profitable Africa.
They are 1.8 billion globally. They would make 75% of workforce by 2025. They will outspace earnings of baby boomers in less than 10 years. Smartphones and tablets are the argument settlers and fact checkers for every conversation. Get more insights on African millennials on Africa Business Radio. Towards a profitable Africa.
That's cool on the beat.
Man, I'm really happy about the week. I'm one of the people who, started the week off with good things, and it's Wednesday already, and I'm happy about how it's going. Okay. Quick one. It's the African Millennial Radio Show with Tommy Wale on Africa Business Radio. And I have, of course, another wonderful guest. I'm sure if you guys go through the over 50 episodes we've had, when I say we have an interesting guest or we have a wonderful guest, I'm sure you guys can say that, okay, Tommy's not lying after all. And then we try our best to, up the ante every time. And what we're going to be talking about today, I'm sure, you've never heard it on a show in a long time, I believe. Let me take a shot at it. We're going to be talking about architecture. Can someone say architecture? How not? It's the African Millennial Radio Show. We're talking about architecture. Yep, it's very, very, very important. I believe that the environments we live in, forms the culture that we imbibe inherently, and then whatever we are perceived outside the country, is a reflection of the culture, and a reflection of how we live, and even kind of houses we live in, says a lot about it. So I've always had this interesting dude from, I think I met him first maybe year 2000 or 2001. He was the very, very interesting guy, tall like a crane, that would just walk into the midst of everybody. Not tall like a crane, tall like what? Tall like a giraffe.
Get out. I didn't even realize. No, stop.
Okay.
I don't consider myself tall.
Okay, so he was a very short man. He was about 5'5".
Stop.
Right. So I've known him for a very long time, and what I actually admire about him is his, first of all, his sense of humor is very, very impeccable. Then his sheer brilliance. He's a very, very intelligent person, right? There are very few people who took further maths. Didn't you take further maths? Didn't you take further maths? You gave up along the way. So, quick one about this further maths, right? Mm-hmm. Further maths. So I was an art student now, literature and whatnot. Okay. I got into OAU. And then my first 2 years, they brought further maths away.
Why?
I don't know. Social sciences.
They should get out.
Guy.
Why?
I know. Anybody who attends OAU will understand that, right? So I've known Olu for a very long time. His name is Pelumi Olowolafe. I'm sorry for just calling him by his non-governmental name. So his government name is Pelumi Olowolafe. He has done a lot in the space of architecture, right? Attended one of the prestigious universities in the country. Is that uni what? Sorry, I can't say it out of my mouth. The uni. That's cool. Somewhere in the corner somewhere.
Stop now.
Yeah, attended University of Lagos. Right.
Don't do that.
Is it Maulag or it wasn't?
Hey,
okay, so he attended University of Lagos, and he once told me that. Yes, he once told me that I'm not sure if he told me. I think it was someone from your school, from my department, that actually took a trip to my school, OAU,
right.
and made a video about the architecture of masterpieces.
Yeah.
So apparently, it's just been thought theory there. But then I understand that.
Told me already.
Right. Okay. So, guys, I understand that this sort of introduction doesn't happen. You can just understand that Olo and I go way back, and this is really going to be a very, very interesting conversation. Olo, how are you doing now?
I'm very well.
How's it going? How's business?
Business is good, I won't lie.
Amazing.
Business is good. We're in a budding economy, if we look at the big picture, but we rarely do that. So things are fine. Things are actually great. It's a good time to be an architect for any 16-year-old listening. It's a good time to want to be in the construction industry. There's a lot that will still happen. Okay. There's a lot of growth prospecting going on. There's a lot of foreign money coming into our economy in construction. Nobody really talks about this. Nobody knows enough about this because it's not documented. And many of us that are in the industry are in the thick of it. So nobody really makes time to journal these things. Right. Yeah, so a lot of people are making a lot of money. Our environment is literally changing face every 6 months. You see a new estate coming up along the Ajah axis. You see a new 20-story building coming up somewhere in VI. So those are the signs. I mean, it could be better, right? And that's about that. So business is good.
I mean, that's interesting. And from what you're saying, I can see that you're really, really keying yourself or putting yourself into, positioning yourself, into the opportunities that are coming.
Absolutely.
Especially when you talked about, so when you say, investments coming from outside the country, I think you said something like that.
Yeah.
Is it some sort of an FDI, or do you think, is it privately initiated or it's a governmental thing?
It's private, mostly. It's private.
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 Oh, okay. That's huge.
It's private.
So people are willing to invest in real estate in
absolutely.
this place.
Yes. If you allow me.
So that means that there's a future in this country.
There is, of course. There is. But you see, is this, first, let's just be clear. Can we say anything and everything that is not vulgar here?
Yeah, radio, yeah.
Okay, because I might be going into some details that are like, they're not like, I didn't sign any NDA to know this, and I just feel it's a privilege that I'm ready to share and willing to give out. So the thing is, we know our climate. The way money flows into our economy is through corrupt practices. So, I'll just go into, I'll brush the surface. Okay. So what's going on is, for anybody that is willing to follow the paper trail of corrupt people in government, real estate is their go-to avenue to stop cash.
I get it.
I won't say more than this.
I get it.
All right, sir.
I get it.
So, it's a lot. Wow. It's like a version of the dark web. Because it's almost like nobody ever talks about this.
Okay. So, you're an architect, right?
Yes, I am.
And then you're in the space of creating, the best designs out of this. So it's not just going to be blocks of whatnot.
No,
everywhere.
No.
Now, personal observation, I think maybe between 2009 and 2014 or so, 2015, I noticed that houses were always having tall roofs, very tall roofs and very slim windows, right? And I understand how we're in a tropic region, not temperate, and the heat is gangster.
Bruh, the heat is crazy.
Growing up, the kind of houses we lived in, big windows, big sliding doors, had the sitting room downstairs and upstairs. Everywhere. I mean, you entered, if you open the windows, the curtains blow. You get what I'm saying? And then you run under the curtain to hide.
Yeah, curtains don't blow.
You understand? No, curtains don't blow anymore. So I'm wondering that, what do you think brought that type of designs that were actually off our environment? Because I felt that these guys were trying to design things that look like things in other countries, very in temperate region. So that if people now want to maybe invest here, maybe there's an illusion that you think that they're living abroad. I didn't understand the rationale behind that. What led to that?
I'll try not to be too technical. Today's a Saturday, so I'm trying to leave office in the office. But I'll try to draw out some technical terminologies that are easy to digest. Now, there are three pillars to development, construction, whatever think of it. That's to do with the built environment. There's the economic factor, there's the environmental factor, and then there's the social factor. So what I'll say has changed is that we are very strong on economic factors when deciding what gets approved, what gets built, and what gets occupied. So I'll start from approval. What's the government allowing to fly? Is whoever paid? I'm about to get into detail. I can't get into any trouble because my allegiance doesn't lie anywhere. So first is I won't say Lagos. In Nigeria, what gets approved is what gets paid for. approval order for, and I'll be a little specific, for a house in a development like just a simple family unit in Bagada is about, we'll go for about 500k to 900k. This is money you pay cash to the approval office. Alausa. I mean, I don't know. I'll stop at that. So, if you're paying that amount, if you don't have that money, you're not going to get approval. If you don't have approval, you really can't build. Except you want to now do kickbacks and backdoor arrangements. So I'm just trying to draw that out in that there's actually economic factor to building, right? And it's who has the money to build that can get past that stage. The next stage is what people want to rent. So people would, I mean, if you're renting, you want to go for the best house at the cheapest price. So for you to get that is for a plot of land that would normally take like 4, like our
of course, now,
case in
space,
point.
Yeah,
back in the day, there's
plot of land.
We would have bicycles and we have space to ride it in our compound, right? But now
it's a 2.
You're gonna have like 6 units
in
6 family units in a space that normally would have been 4 family units. Now, where we should be pegging this type of development is at approval stage. But remember, I already said that whoever pays the most is who they would write approval for. In fact, sometimes people draw up things that shouldn't pass for approval.
So are you trying to say that just to chip this in, just to go back, is there a fault in the urban and regional planning?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So let's continue.
For every I'm a full member of the Nigerian Institute of Architects, so I mean, a few information I literally have, because in the process of trying to get your full membership, you write an exam. And while studying, I found that for every local government, you should have an architect, your mechanical engineer, your electrical engineer, and your town planner, your surveyor, attached to each local government across the federation. Now, this team, which they call the Local Development Authority, LDA, is supposed to be headed by a town planner, right? But I'm taking us back, like reverse engineering. Now, if you go to the curriculum of a town planner, urban and regional planning, in the University of Lagos, for instance, there is no point at which their study takes them to imagining an urban space in 3D form, only in 2D form.
Wow.
Right. So it means that for a town planner who is heading the approval process of like a local government, they have a limitation to how they can, creatively. Why do you want to put a 16-story block at the waterfront? Would that not block the view of other properties? Would that not block the impact of cool waves from the sea? Like, those are the kind of thinking that should go into, approval process. We should imagine our cities in 3D form, not just looking at plan. Roundabout here
just brings, an extra 100 and an increase of whatnot.
If I'll just wrap it up in like a phrase, is competence. There's a competence problem at approval stage. There's already is rigged to fail when money is the most important thing. When you're supposed to be asking those two other factorial questions of societally, does this fit? And then lastly, environmentally, does it fit? So in an environment where all we ever think about is how to make money. You're trying to get approval. How much are we going to get from you is what they're thinking. They're not actually asking that, why are you going to plant this type of development in this type of space? If this is how you use your churches and your denomination and you put speakers out there, why do you want to put in an estate? Why shouldn't we? I'll tell you something, yeah? Real life example. There's a particular estate along Aja that was planned to be a hospital.
Oh.
Right, a big hospital. Like what you call a departmental hospital, right? And that land, based on who knows who, has been converted into an estate. There's not adequate fire service for all those estates running along Aja Road. There's not adequate recreational facilities for all those estates. There are not enough police stations, right? So, and structurally, when you're planning a city, those are things that you literally, you allot plots of land to. And you calculate them. There are rule of thumbs, like, okay, for maybe 500 housing units, you have a primary healthcare center. If it's a 1,000 housing units, you have a clinic. So there are scales to everything.
Is that some type of an urban congestion?
Of course. So we're not building to, first planning wise, zero, and then we're not building to the rule of thumbs that exist for urban planning. So when they say Lagos, the mega city, believe you me, it's about how mega the box is coming into whoever's pocket it's going into. It's really not about that, that three-prong, even growth of the city. Like societally, are we reserving the fabric of who we are as, Nigerians first, as Yoruba people? We don't have any credence to our history. The wrong buildings are being pulled down to make tall buildings in Marina. That's wrong. And then the environmental part, now that he's go kill us. Nobody really cares. It's actually, just whatever. Like, we're taking out trees in Nikoyi. There's nowhere.
A friend of mine told me, I think it was in Washington DC, and he said that the way most of the buildings are is the old buildings were not taken out, so they just constructed a modern building next to it.
Right.
So you still have the cultural or the historical buildings preserved,
and you repurpose them. Them, so you don't have loss of value.
Exactly.
I'll give you examples. The military house very close to Freedom Park. That building has been abandoned. I think it's a 15th.
It's opposite it.
Yeah, opposite it. Yeah, it's a 15-story block. That's loss of value. National Theatre, loss of value. National Stadium, loss of value. Federal Secretariat, Ikoyi, loss of value. There's another one along Badagry Road, close to Festac, loss of value. This, and we built many of these projects in the 70s when cement was cheap and Nigeria had the oil boom. So, we were just the same thing we're doing now. We're just misappropriating funds. It's just that we were richer then. We had more expendable money. But that's the thing about when they say you can have money, you can be poorly rich and you can be richly poor. That type thing. We've always been poor. We just had disposable funds before.
You know what? I think we're gonna get deeper a bit into this. Let's have a commercial break and then we'll be back for more.
We are the wind in the sails of your business. We are your compass. Chart your course towards your targets. Africa Business Radio. Towards a profitable Africa.
They are 1.8 billion globally. They would make 75% of workforce by 2025. They will outspace earnings of baby boomers in less than 10 years. Smartphones and tablets are the argument settlers and fact checkers for every conversation. Get more insight on African millennials on Africa Business Radio. Towards a profitable Africa.
That's cool on the beat.
I don't know why I feel like I'm living in some kind of a mess that is unplanned, based on what Pelumi Olowolafe has been saying since morning. Like, you just threw us inside that place and then you go figure out how to breathe. Yeah. But then it's actually quite insightful. It's really good, and I'm sure that there are so many people who are looking into being in government later on, listening to this, right? Even folks who are outside the country, people in other parts of Africa who are trying to be in government in their own space. I'm sure that things like this actually resonate, or you can see happenings like this also in your own space. Yeah. So I think you should really, really take into consideration that, in as much as you're trying to give people, a better sense of living, or a better standard of living, the planning of the environment is also very important, especially when it comes to, HSE. You don't want that to just mess the whole thing up. I walk into some buildings sometimes and I'm wondering that what is the HSC planning here? It's just, all clogged and whatnot, burglary proofs and all of that. Now, talking about, designs of a building, right? Now, HSC is about safety. Yeah. But, so myself, right, I was having a conversation with him, just before we got into the studio, that growing up in Ibadan, Saturday is Environmental Day. You come out to park your gutter. If you don't come out, they'll discuss your matter at the association meeting. That you are the dirty person, in the estate. So, moving to the coastal city of West Africa, the most vibrant of them all, Las Gidi. I didn't see that happening. I mean, in fact, I didn't even see gutters in front of people's houses, right? Especially when I did a bit of Agungi area thereabouts. I mean, they just build the house there and then there's nothing. So I got very irritated, with it. And then when they now mentioned how much the real estate was, I'm like, come on. I mean, I'm going to pay for this trap. You get what I'm saying? So how do you think that the designs actually of buildings, right, or the designs of maybe place for living would affect the culture of people?
Okay. I'll start with a bit of precedence. So, in 1924-ish, there was a plague. They call it a plague. It's like what we call a pandemic today. It was called, it was the bubonic plague. And that's what gave rise to Surulere as we know it today. So the nerve point of the bubonic plague was Obalende, right? And the essence of the bubonic plague basically was just sanitation. So and that's hold on your left hand. The other side of things is government. Constitutionally, government owns all land. So the responsibility of purposefully using the land resources or repurposing land in Nigeria is vested on the government. So I say this to say that the responsibility of maintaining sanitation from a planning standpoint rests heavily on the government. Now, if I would draw it forward, we can agree or we can speculate that the government has not necessarily been taking up its responsibility in that regard. So in a place like Lagos, where capitalism really rules, estates, private entities pull off estates that don't have drainages, that don't have gutters, there's no plan for waste management. So what you will have is the present real estate market, where myself and yourself rent properties from, is based on vibes, is based on idea. There's no blueprint that is enforceable that we can use to guide these private entities. To our earlier conversation where I was pointing out how everything is centered around money, it's just another spin-off of it. So nobody's checking nothing. Nobody's making sure that the waste stream of Lagos is cradle to grave. It's not a complete circuit. And that's how you find that the best attempt we have is Loma. If there was a proper structure, Loma would be redundant, but there's none. So people drop their wastes loosely, then Loma has to, try to pull that together into dumpsters. Dumpsters take to landfills. So there are two landfills that I know in Lagos. There's one in Ekpe and there's one in Ojota. The Ojota one, I think they're trying to wind down operations on. But at the peak of its operation, it's called Olushosun, the landfill. At the peak of its operation, the effluence coming from that place. Ojota it was like Ojota used to feel like there's a giant like Voltron that is ready, like steady farting, just. So basically, when we talk about sanitation on a house to house level, we are doing it ourselves, just like many other things. Our electricity, our water supply is privatized, whether we admit it or not. It's private, is whatever you make of it. So myself and yourself are, well, typical middle class. We know what's right. We try to do it. But what happens to all those other shanty-like spaces where they just throw it in the gutter, just throw it in the waterways, and then we have to deal with all of the stress of what that, ripple effects into the city. So, I don't know. It's a naughty question.
How would it, do you think that, the way the architectural space is right now, right? Or, okay, two things. Do the architecture spaces right now, do you think it could actually inspire development in the minds of the younger generation living in those environments? Secondly, what do you think architects can actually do to influence some reasonable change?
All right. That's a good one. I don't know if this will answer your first question, but I strongly believe that when you have a lot of challenges, then those are avenues to make, solutions. And if you can provide solutions, well.
So are we hoping that there'll be outliers or something?
Absolutely. There's always opportunities.
Everybody's living in the country.
Are you?
Yes, I am. I am living in the country.
Okay, well, let's not go into that. But yeah, you're right. It actually gives the avenue for outliers. Opportunities for other people to take advantage of these challenges, find solutions to them. I know of two companies. Two companies. One is in Yaba, along Albert Macaulay. There was a startup. It was a startup like 3 years ago. I don't know how far they've come. But what I remember they used to do was to collect plastic waste, and I thought that was really smart. And for recycle, and I'm sure they were generating good income if they could keep up. But outside of that, now design. I think I see a lot of mid-rise buildings coming up, Lekki, 8-story, 6-story residential schemes without a waste chute. The only building I know in Lagos today that has a waste chute is 1004. That is functional. That they come to remove the waste I think twice weekly. That
one looks properly planned.
Well and well maintained. It's a good call from the FM team. So I feel like even design wise, we architects are culpable. Why are you making a 6-story building without a waste chute? Why are you going up 10 floors without a waste chute? It just feels like. Anyway, Nigeria is a country of everything being half baked.
So is it going to be taken back into academics?
No.
Should this be taken back into academics?
Yes, it should, but it won't.
Why?
Because even lecturers are sleeping on their job.
Do you not like Africa?
No, you see, I'm not here to not.
You're actually being realistic.
I'm just being realistic. I feel like I can off the mic. We can talk about the good, but here we need to be real with ourselves. There's a lot of work to do before we point fingers at our leaders. We need to look at ourselves.
Right.
In my own little space, on my own desk, what am I doing presently that I can improve on? As an architect, look into that scheme you're working on and really ask yourself, what's the waste management plan? From your back door to the waste point, what's your plan? What's
the HSC? I don't know. I'm very concerned about that.
You make buildings, that families, new young families will take up these buildings, and your balustrades are 900, just like for adults. What happens to those kids?
And I saw this thing, I think it happened in December. I saw it in January.
A baby hanging off
the
balcony?
A baby. Cute, beautiful mother and her 2 children in Ikoyi. I think there was a fire thing that happened and everybody couldn't go out because of the burglary.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
Beautiful family.
Man, we need to even revisit that burglary.
So I think maybe if you can talk to, I don't know.
Talk to who?
The people in your
University of Lagos produces
Institute of Architects, for example. Right. You guys can actually just see this thing. I just have that wake up call. I don't know. It's lives of people here. It's the future of the country. It's the future of Africa here.
All right. Yeah. I see what you're saying. And I think it's a good time for me in my little way to just bring it to everybody's reminder that as architects, if you're listening in, please, we're not doing enough.
Okay.
We're not doing enough. We're catching up on that capitalism fever where we're all about the money, the next PP, the next job, and we're really not being thorough. And that's why all these really bad buildings are coming up. We need to do better.
Footballer's house.
Don't do that. I think I catch that shade.
No, I didn't throw shade.
Are you sure?
I don't want someone fair to start chasing me. All right, guys. We've come to the end of this episode. So many things about architecture that I would really love to talk about, right? But as individuals, Pelumi Olowolafe said, let us do our best to take care of our own work, right? If you're trying to build a house, ask all these questions, right? Safety, drainages, everything, right? And then at least pass that touch on to the next person. There's so many virgin environments in Lagos that are about to be developed, right? What are the measures taken to ensure that a good urban and regional planning is done there, right? So let's do our homework well, and then, of course, I believe that things will be better for us. We will all just travel and then come back into into slums later. All right, guys, make sure you have a very wonderful afternoon. Stay safe. It's Tommy Wale on the African Millennial Radio Show. Don't forget to go on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcast after this live session goes, and then search for the African Millennials, and then share, listen to it, enjoy it, drop comments, and then let's have a very, very wonderful life afterwards. All right, Pelumi, thank you for coming.
It was great. It was great.
Bye for now.
They are 1.8 billion globally. They would make 75% of workforce by 2025. They will outspace earnings of baby boomers in less than 10 years. Smartphones and tablets are the argument settlers and fact checkers for every conversation. Get more insights on African millennials on Africa Business Radio, towards a profitable Africa.
We are the wind in the sails of your business. We are your compass. Chart your course towards your targets. Africa Business Radio, towards a profitable Africa.